So it is about the training we have together with Maersk Drilling we have developed. It is also to give you an overview of it, try to visualize what we're actually using our simulator facility in order to obtain what it's all about, and that is what we call behavior change. A small introduction why we're put here in the world. That is to sell training, to make consultancy for other people. But it has been strategically chosen from Maersk that we should be open to anyone. Because just like we do today, we should share knowledge that is common, that could enhance safety and operation in the industry. So that is why we're open to all customers. We are scattered around in 9 places. And of course, the oil have, let's say, the focus in our industry, together with maritime and wind training. But as today, it is post-Macondo that is the headline here. And that was actually, as Søren he said, that triggered the whole training, what we have developed, and also the investment in this, let's say, larger facility of simulation. And what it is, this task force Søren he talked about, say what we should do is to find the ability to handle worst-case situation for the drilling teams. We should proactively plan and prepare. We should be ready to take a more detailed look on the human factor here. It is, we have been technically focused for many, many years, but it should be more on the human factor here as well. And based on a success we have with developing an offshore simulator for offshore support vessel, anchor handling, towmaster training, we further developed this training program and simulation into the, let's say, preparing a simulated oil rig. And by doing this, going together with partners is nothing new. This is a traveling block from Maersk Explorer from '77. And you see this hole in this traveling block, then the sand blasted through this with oil, water, sand, whatever, very high pressure. Luckily, no one was hurt in this incident. But at that time, when we investigated in the incident that is happening 35 years ago, then we find out all the papers were in order. All the certificates were there. The people, they had the right certificates. But there was something lacking with the competences, and that was the challenge. So someone have issued a certificate without checking or whatever we should do about the competences. In that case, say, okay, find some quality trainers, training facilities that can do this training. Unfortunately, it wasn't possible at that time. And then Maersk decided to make this in-house training. And today, we are called Maersk Training. The vision was to train in teams, not focusing so much. Of course, we should have, as I will come back to later, the person should have the technical skills, but we should take it a team and department, operation, interaction. And it should be far more realistic. It should be being there, that you can go all the way, the button is where the same button is, if it's beneficial. And then, of course, no secret, it was to get a commercial advantage. And then, as Søren he also mentioned, we very much like to set new training standards in order to enhance the safety of the whole industry. So, the development of this advanced simulator to do with the training team should, of course, high technical standard, safe operation, leadership, team interaction, people performance, but also we know that there's lack of people in the industry. We should also have people faster through the education system, but not lacking the competences, because that must be the monument that is standing. This traveling block should be the monument. Every morning we stand up and say, okay, we should educate people for competences, not certificates. And of course, company culture and values. And I'll say here that it is all about behavior. If we 95% of all things that are happening, that is due to people's behavior. And we can't change the behavior habits if they're not aware of it. So we have to make them aware of it. And risk are also objectives and can be interpreted, as I wrote here. And if I'm driving up to road cross, and then I see the light turns yellow. What will I do? Will I speed up or will I brake? What will you do? Depends, right? Is there any traffic? Is it 4 o'clock in the morning? So we start interpreting safety here. Of course we should brake, even 4 o'clock at night time, and with no cars. I will. So, they're not all visible. There could be a car coming, right? And then we should also, let's say, tell other people when they do something right and wrong. And that can only be done in an environment, a working situation or training situation. And this behavior that is controlled by our culture and competences. And culture, there's no right and wrong culture. So when we have a person that comes from a society where father's already right, maybe he will transfer that to his working life, and then the OIM or the captain or whoever, chief engineer, they will always be right. But are they already right? No, of course not. We know that. But then we should make an open dialogue with these people and show them, yes, even though your culture says that father's always right, you should still be able to stop any unsafe things here. And of course, communication also linked to culture, but also among us Danes, among British and Danes, among everyone. Communication could be a hard one, and we have to, let's say, train on this. And so these competences, so I said this is due to experience and knowledge. Everyone can buy, of course, if you have enough money, you can buy an oil rig, but no one can buy experience. And that is the challenge here, that we need people who know how to do things. So we need people understanding the operation and underlying theory. And that is actually what it's all about. It is showing the people how it's all about and have them to remember it. I'll come back to this about remembering, because the skills, they are, let's say, vanished out during the years. Can you remember everything you learned in public school? Was that a yes or a no? I can't, that's for sure. And I don't think you can either. And why? Because we're not using it. And that is the important issue here. We talk about safety and critical situations in this room. And what is it about these critical and, let's say, issues? We are using them extremely rarely, hopefully never. And then we will forget them. And then we come to this, the daily situation. That is not critical, hopefully not critical. It should be another day in the office. Even though we have risky environment, it should still be within the processes, within the procedures and checklists and work permits and all these things, so we make the life safe. So we cannot, let's say, get experience in critical situations, hopefully not. And then we can bring people in this, let's say, simulated world where we actually see them reacting as they are as human beings in, let's say, a look-alike environment, and then they get some kind of experience. And the higher realism we can get into this, the better. So, of course, we should have a real oil rig, and we should do some very dangerous work in the real world, because then everyone will remember. I should, of course, be hit by another car when I'm passing over for yellow light, because then I will remember. But that is not about, it's not possible. We cannot take this rig and make it, let's say, risky, both for the human being, of course, for the environment, and for the safety of the equipment. So we have to take them somewhere else where we can challenge them, both operational, but also on the human side here. Because the communication, oh, that's nice, Johnny, thank you for bringing me coffee. How's it going? It's going fine. Okay. Is it going fine? Should we, instead of discussing the coffee, should we instead discussing what happened if? And that is the team. We want to take care of the team. We want to train them interdepartmentally, and then for this critical situation. And we must admit that we can have the best driller in the world. If he can't communicate or cooperate, then he would be the worst. And then I come back to what we actually have done directly. That is, we have bring in the drilling crew. Everyone is of this drilling crew is doing the IWCF or IDC as every second year, and that's compliant trainings. And then we're sure that they have the right competences. We test the individual. So now we have identified the world best driller, but if he can't communicate, he could be the worst driller, but we don't know. So we want to take it a step further. We want to do it a team-based course where we also, let's say, maintaining and add on to these competences, but then we take the team development and put them in a context where you have to communicate with other people in the critical situation. And then we, for free, get knowledge sharing. If you have the experienced driller put in together with a less experienced driller, he will talk like this. He will give all the good things away freely. So we have now put up an environment that we might not have on board, where knowledge sharing is very common, because there we've so focused on this single operation that we are doing now. And then we're also working on an option of saying we want to take this also on board. We want to invite or provoke, if you like, an environment on board where you're actually focusing on, let's say, critical situation. So it could be that they every 3 months have to fill in 25 questions, send them to someone who will look in, how have he asked on some theoretical stuff. It could be a small simulator that you have to actually do a well-controlled thing every 6 months, and then we have a result of it. Then we hope that we could make an environment on board where you start discussing, oh, have you taken your 25 question this quarter? It was very, very scary because I actually got 20 out of 25. It should have been much better. And then we start discussing, instead of discussing the coffee, now we're discussing serious issue. And we have now make an environment where people are discussing things that can go wrong. And it has something to do with learning retention. How much do you remember from public school, as I said? If we have this IWCF course coming every second year, we could be forgetting things. And if we then have an incident down here, and we have forgot the theory behind this. So by adding the team-based course, which also is some kind of well-controlled in this case, and also cooperation, communication, culture, etc., then we can raise the bar, and if we then could add the onboard thing to this as well, then we hope that our resulting knowledge and resulting preparedness and awareness and assertiveness and so on will then be lifted. And this team-based well control is, as I said, really about maintaining and move on to this, let's say, build on top of this, their basic knowledge. And then we have this practical experience that we can update them every time with new knowledge. And this is an example of how the program looks today. And we have found out that we make a big mistake when we ran the first couple of courses. Our sessions were a couple of hours, and then the debriefing was maybe 1 hour. Today is more or less opposite, because we found out where people actually have a behavior change, and that is what it's all about. That is during the feedback sessions, where we have the company man talking to the senior tool pusher over a very critical situation that they have done, and maybe they have done wrong, or maybe they have done very good. So now you have this feedback session where you can start discussing, did you give me all the information I need, or did you give me too much information? And so we can have this, and that is these experienced people, how do you motivate them to take this behavior change with them to the rig? So yes, we have then adjusted our programs to have much longer feedback sessions in this training. And then, of course, with the perfect world will be we get a whole rig in at the same time, and they will be building on this team as they had. Unfortunately, it will also logistically be a nightmare, and the next thing will be, will these guys be together forever? No, they will be shuffled around from rig to rig, they will be promoted and so forth. Is this only an issue of not remembering for the drillers? Not, of course not. Dynamic positioning. I got my DP certificate in '96, I believe. Can I remember everything from '96? No, I can't. Is it relevant what I learned in '96? No, it isn't. So these guys also need some kind of refresher. People need to come back, and then we get, let's say, the resulting knowledge lifted. It goes for the maintenance crews, it goes for subsea, it goes for the shore crew. And what is it we can do in this training facility, this simulator stuff? It is, for Maersk Drilling, we have built a rig-specific jack-up, semi-subs, and drill ships. And there we have the bridge central control room with dynamic positioning, ballast, management of major emergency, etc. And we have installed crane simulators from jackups, semi-subs, and so forth, construction vessels. And also we have put in an engine room. So, of course, my dream here is that we have a small pump in the engine room breaking down, the generator goes down, the DP operator can't maintain position, the driller can't drill, we'll have an oil spill, then the shore crew have to react to that, and then the main office have a call from some newspaper stuff, and then we can make a full scenario, and hopefully everyone get out of this better. So it's all about combining the simulators for the team development, sake of team development. That is, let's say, the issue here. It is not something new. We have just done it. And then the second part of this is that when we inaugurated this simulator facility, it was opened by a ConocoPhillips gentleman, and he said when they got a rig into Norway, they took the whole crew into a hotel in Norway, and then they expected, by being together for 1.5 days, to save 4 days of operation. And then by putting in people to a simulated rig, how much can we then save in operation? Do it safe, of course. You can't measure that one, but you can probably measure how many days of a day rate of, I don't know, you do probably know better than me, how much. And that is this performance enhancement, that we will take 2 teams of 55 people, the whole crew, Team A and Team 1 or whatever, Team A, B, or whatever we call it, and then we will train them in the teams so they are prepared when they come to this drill vessel and take it out, and hopefully we can speed up the time for operation. And this learning objectives for this one is about, we want to take the individual person and prepare him so he knows something about himself, and we also his role in this rig, and we also want to link him to the team. So by doing this, now you and your team, and then we link them together. So we have the full rig simulation now, and that is actually issue what problem could be in the engine room that matters for the drillers, what problem for the driller matters for the engine room, and so forth. If you are aware of other people's, let's say, challenges, you would not provoke them deliberately. No, we'd actually try to help each other. So we want to bring in this, of course, high level of personal responsibility. We will not have a no blame or a blame culture, but we want to have a respect culture. That means if you do something wrong, we should give you the right feedback and talk about it so we can be better next time. And then it is behavior. We think that by putting a team together so they really find that we take them seriously, then we'll have higher retention, lower sickness. It will be better and less friction on the rig when we operate. And of course, it is all coming back to business. If we have better people, better behavior, then we will have less LTI, we'll have increased uptime, efficiency, and then of course the end customer will be more satisfied. So how have we chosen to do this? Yeah, we have put up a rig control room that is have a riser management simulator, and this riser management simulator could then be linked up to real equipment, but also to the DP in order to get the right spot or position and things like that, if we are talking deep water, of course. And then the same is linked to the drilling simulator, so the drillers now, let's say, if the DP operator moves position, then you'll see that there will be an issue for the drilling guys. The engine room, they have to support it all. But it is a big drilling machine. Everyone have to support so the drilling machine is running safely and of course have most uptime. That is all about. And this engine room, of course, give power to the whole rig, and then you can control it from the bridge and from the control room. And by linking then to offshore crane, to other, let's say, simulators in this world, that means we can make tow out, tow in of a jack-up. We can run anchors for semi-submersibles, not while we are drilling though. But all these things is done, let's say, technically. That's of course very interesting for a technical guy like myself, probably not for you. What we is to discuss here today, that is this one, the communication. By setting up this system so we actually make it possible to people to understand each other's issues, and of course your own issues, both personally, in the team, and as a whole rig, then we believe that we have obtained a lot in this one. But it is always about, sorry, about getting the right balance, because you have probably, all of you, been put into a room like this and killed by PowerPoint like I'm doing now. It is about getting the right balance between the theory and then the practice. Because if we want to motivate the guy with 20 years experience, we really have to do something about it. We can't just sit here for 3 days and I'll talk about cross-culture with you, and then you have lost them already. So we have to get them into an environment where we motivate them to this behavior change so they can see what's in it for me, and when they have done that, hopefully they'll take it on board the rig and then they will do the behavior change and we'll make a safer world. And that comes back to this feedback session as I talked to before, because in this environment, they say, oh, I'm very fond of doing bullheading, for example, when they are doing drilling. Then you can say, oh yeah, but why don't you do another method? Because I'm used to it. And we are, as people, doing the same thing we are used to because that's safe for us. So could we change it? Could we be more efficient or more safe? Then in the simulated world, yes, we can just take it back and say, okay, let's try the other way of doing it. And then he find out, oh, that was actually more safe, and then it was more efficient. And then by trying it, then he's more open for doing this next time he comes to the real world. So we try to be, let's say, the boundary, the barrier, the boundary between the theory, because we know what is right and wrong. Everyone in here knows that we must have incidents, and we can have a lot of theory. All this, let's say, theory, the book, we have to interpret, and then we have to translate it to the rig language. If I got a book in Arabic, I can't read it. The book is fine, but I can't get anything out of it. And that is the same. You have to get it to the right language. People have to understand it. And that is what we believe. By putting in through, for example, this training session like this, we can interpret and then find out, okay, what is very important, what is less important, and what should we do? And then we have taken the theory. And the theory comes, of course, from books and could be a PhD, as we do with the University of Aberdeen in safety awareness for drilling crews. It could be a lot of things. And these, let's say, interpretation, that is the important thing. We have to get it into their language so they will be motivated and they will have behavior change, and that is what it's all about. Thank you very much.